What's up and good morning, War Report family. Your man, Ike Jones. We are here this morning. It is Monday, February the 6th, and we're talking about recruiters in the SEC. Is Hugh Freeze already one of the top 3 in the conference? Let's talk about it this morning right here on the Morning Drop. Y'all know how we do it. Drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report.
Morning Drop Monday morning. Your man Ike Jones in the place to be. War Eagle to everybody out there. Hopefully you guys are having a good start to your week. And I mean, what better way to start your week than to come in and talk to the guys at the War Report, right? Your man Ike Jones here. I think B Will's going to be joining me in a little bit. But at any rate, today we're talking about recruiters in the SEC. Hugh Freeze done a really great job in a very short amount of time. So can we put him in the top 3 in the conference already? We'll talk about that. But while we get into this, make sure that you guys go liking the video. If let's say I'm asking you to like the video before I even get into the content, because you already know what kind of quality we coming with right here on the War Report. Make sure that you share the video, though. That's really the important thing. Share the video, get more people involved in the conversation right now. Hit us up on Facebook if you're sharing over there. Let us know you made the share. On Twitter for sure. Make sure you hit that @ so that we know that you had the share. Hashtag get your weight up as well. But let's talk about it. Recruiters in the SEC. I got my guy B Will jumping in here, and we're just gonna get into this conversation, man. How you feeling this morning, B?
Doing all right. I'm now well fed, so let's get to it, man. Let's talk about this recruiting.
Yeah, man. So I think we know who the top 2 are, right? Like it's not even a debate who the top 2 recruiting head coaches are, right? Like there are some assistant coaches that are amazing recruiters out there that we can rattle off names of, right? So we're not talking about assistant coach recruiters. We're talking about guys who put the recruiting program together for their school, right? Is Hugh Freeze number 3 on that list in the SEC? What say you, B Will, to that question?
Well, you said we know who the top 2 are, and if I was rounding out my top 5, I thought you meant that they were all Dylon, but I guess you're talking about football coaches and not rappers. So,
yeah,
I didn't think Hugh Freeze was in the top 5 rappers, so I'm glad that's not the conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Whether or not Hugh Freeze is in the top, it's really hard for me to have this convo without trying to break down what recruiting is.
Okay,
because some of what people will view as recruiting is, you are a good on the field coach, so I want to come be a part of your program.
Okay, that's
some
fair.
of what recruiting would be, man, you really know how to relate to me, and you're selling me on what you have going at your program, whether it's good or bad. A good recruiter can bring a good prospect to a bad program because he told them everything he needs to hear about the program turning around.
Shane Beamer does it all the time. Sorry, South Carolina fans.
He does. He's becoming better and better at that. And then you've got the guys who I think recruiting is a matter of, well, Shane Beamer does have it's energy. Like, I know that Cadillac has some of that energy. Being able to relate in energy, they kind of feel one and the same, but they aren't necessarily one and the same. So there are all these different facets, and of course, a big chunk of it, you hear me parrot this all the time whenever we have long conversations about it. A lot of it is, how much resources does your program specifically put into your pocket as a coach so you can go recruit, which means transportation, which means printing up whatever that looks like, hiring more staff so that you can have all these analysts that can say, hey, yo, you got to go look at this kid. Well, there are some coaches whose programs they would have never seen that kid because they got 1/10 of the analysts that bigger programs do to even find these kids. So recruiting is definitely about money. And in that sense, it's very hard for me to give anybody the credit as a better recruiter when they have the advantage of the bigger, more well-funded program, because now we're not even on a level playing field anymore. How can Missouri out-recruit Georgia with the resources that Georgia has at its disposal, and traditionally Missouri has had next to nothing, or a Vanderbilt or a Mississippi State? There are hard caps on certain programs because of what they have to work with. Now, all that being said, the coach can definitely come in and take jobs that are good recruiting jobs, like a Georgia. And people remark this when the difference between Mark Richt and Kirby Smart. Mark Richt was getting NFL players into his program, which is why they cut ties with him after a bunch of 9-10 win seasons. It's like, listen, man, you're not just getting some good players, you're getting great players, and you can't win us the conference. You got to go. All right, bring in Kirby Smart, and then he ratchets that up to 10, and now they're getting great players, even more great players, winning the conference, winning national championships. And that's the difference between a good recruiter and a great recruiter. Or I don't know if Mark Richt was a good recruiter or if the machine was just working for him. So in that case, it's very clear to see, hey, you took something that was going good, Kirby, and you made it great. I can give Kirby great recruiter. His energy, the energy from Kirby. I mean, you see that energy, how he talks to his players in the locker room, man. He's not just selling them a story and telling them to come here and participate and fall in line. He is selling his intensity. And that's part of his package, along with everything that Georgia brings. I can give Kirby great recruit. I'm with you. Nick Saban, I suppose so. I've heard his pitch. You know, I remember the recruit that leaked the video of Nick Saban talking to him over the web call. Nick Saban didn't say anything really. It was just like, hey, we already got to go and come here. That was the entire pitch to that specific kid was, hey, you know how good we are at this. Right. So come on down. I don't know if that's good recruiting. That's good coaching. You've been a good coach, and that's part of the formula, like I've said, but I wouldn't necessarily call that good recruiting. But for the sake of this argument, I will give Nick that. Sure. All right. Is Hugh Freeze number 3? Breaking down what I just broke down, I might give Hugh Freeze number 2. But he just doesn't have the machine going. He doesn't have the on-field product to match what Nick Saban has as far as the on-field product. Because if the on-field product is doing the recruiting for you, are you recruiting or is your coaching recruiting? Now, that makes you a great coach. If I put you ground zero in a program that has won nothing in the last 10 years, could you do what you're doing now? To me, that's a great recruiter.
That's what Nick Saban did.
Well, Alabama? Yeah, but Alabama always had the bona fides as the in-state institution. The machine was always ready and ready to go. The car was warmed up at Alabama. The person that was driving it before Saban had no idea what he was doing. He was driving drunk, metaphorically. And they were like, no, we got to kick this guy out of the car. Pull him over. We need somebody else to drive the ship. I mean, if we put everybody at Toledo and said, ground zero, go, how would you do? I don't know. I think as far as personalities, Hugh Freeze might be a better recruiter than he might be top 2 recruiter in the conference.
My bad. I didn't mean to put that up.
No, you good. But he does not have the on-field product to do the speaking for him. That's the biggest difference between him and everybody else right now. I saw him get a few NFL players while he was at Ole Miss, and that's Ole Miss. Broke and ugly. And he got NFL talent there and brought it all through there. And now everybody will remark that they were ill-gotten. Okay. People will use that as a reason to say that Hugh Freeze is not a good guy, or that his transgressions when it comes to coaching speak ill of his character. And I disagree with that, just like I disagree with that for anybody who has cheated to get quality talent in their program. We all understand that the fates of a football program rest on the talent that you can get in. If I am trying to get in the best talent that I possibly can, I am trying to win. If I am trying to get in the best talent into my program that I possibly can, I am trying to win. Now, is that a by any means necessary? Yes. Any means necessary. I need quality talent to win. I need more than the guy next to me. I am trying to win. Hugh Freeze made that
decision. To be clear, knowing B. Will as long as I've known him, this is not a new stance of his. He's like, no, we're going to do what we got to do, bro. I don't care. Bend a rule, break a rule. We going to make it happen.
Because it's not a level playing field. I can't compete when the advantage is, hey, we got 6 national championships. I'm not going to go, you know what, kid, I'm not going to offer you anything because, that'll be breaking the rule. No. Give whatever you got to do to get these kids in the program so you can win, because it's not a fair game. As Jimbo alluded to early last offseason, or at the middle of last offseason, plenty of advantages are had behind the scenes. Those coaches know what those are. You've got to compete to get those guys in. NIL now makes things more even for those who have money. There were programs who had money who didn't have the coaching, who didn't have the energy, who now have a chance to compete. I think it makes certain teams more competitive. I don't think it hurts the top tier program. NIL does not hurt the top tier programs because they're rolling along so well. Their revenue is so high. Their their fan base is so energized that NIL money will come rolling in. But there are fan bases who knew that, man, we don't really have the success, the NFL draft translation to get these kids excited, but we got NIL money. Hugh Freeze, who was a by any means necessary coach with NIL money, with a fan base and an alum base at Auburn who makes lots of money after they get their undergrad and graduate degrees. Dangerous combination. I think what he's done in a month speaks to what can happen in the future as these two things marry together. All we need is this much on-field success to make it look like it's going the right direction. And it's going to be bananas. Straight bananas. I don't know if you ever catch up to a back-to-back championship in legacy and energy, what Kirby has built. That success will do some recruiting for you, and that's earned. And no, I'm not trying to take that away from Kirby or Nick Saban. Those things are earned. Hugh Freeze does not have that, and that's something that will be working against him until he gets it. In the meantime, I like number 3 for Hugh Freeze because I haven't seen anybody else recruit this well in this short a time span. We're talking months, weeks, but really before he closed most of the talent. Weeks. If you've seen somebody else turn that around that quick, let me know.
Yeah. So all right. So you say top 3 for sure, maybe even top 2 for Hugh Freeze. Okay. That I don't disagree. I think here how I put the conversation whenever I think about it is if I swapped the 2 coaches out, would they still be as successful? So to your point of Missouri, right? Could Kirby Smart have gone to Missouri and turned Missouri into a top recruiting place? I think the answer to that is yes. It's not gonna be at the level of Georgia, but I think he would have done better than what is happening right now.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's my point is that now let's take it the other way. And if you put Elijah Drinkwitz at Georgia, does Georgia become a recruiting powerhouse, perennial national champion? I don't think the answer to that question is yes.
I agree with you.
So if I do the swap game with every coach in the conference and say, you give this guy his resources, you give this guy blah, 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 do you get the same results? And I come up with the answer of yes with Hugh Freeze in literally every single one of those things. If you put Hugh Freeze at Georgia, would he be successful as Kirby in a couple of, because it's not like Kirby turned it around in 1 year, right? Could he build to the place of Kirby Smart? I think the answer to that is yeah.
Right.
If you put Hugh Freeze at Bama, could he be what Bama is over a period? I don't say that. This is where you and I disagree. I don't know that you can sustain the success that Nick Saban has had and not look at him and say he knows how to build a successful like year after year. It's one thing to do it like 1 or 2 years. For over a decade, it's okay. Yeah, Nick, you the guy. Now, do I think that right now today Kirby Smart is probably the best? Yes, but I don't think you can supplant Nick Saban right now, considering after over a decade of success, he still went out there and got the #1 recruiting class. Well, Georgia, I think, passed him just recently, but still, he's still top 2 in the recruiting classes in the conference. Decade doing the same thing. So he's still going to be up there at the top. The other interesting one to me, and the only other person that I think even begins to enter this conversation, as much as I love Shane Beamer, I think he probably would be in my top 5 in the conference, is just the ability to recruit as a head coach. Brian Kelly is the only other person that needs to enter this conversation. And I'm saying that knowing what Texas A&M did last year. But then I have to juxtapose that with what they did the year after that. Right. And then their ability to retain that talent. Right. I'm just like, I don't know if Jimbo is that guy that I can put him in my top 5. I put Shane Beamer in my top 5 before I did Jimbo in the conference.
That's okay. So you just brought up something really interesting. You said their ability to retain that talent. And that's something that I think will help separate the NIL recruiters from the good recruiters. Listen, man, there are so many opportunities well, there are very few opportunities for these kids to get paid before they actually get in the NFL. Now that those opportunities are there, these kids want that money, man. These families want that money, and in a lot of cases, they need that money. So that money is going to talk. You getting that number one class, and we said it as soon as he signed it, and every day after, we will see.
Yeah.
We will see. Jimbo Fisher is not the personality. He's not the endearing homeboy, talk to your mama like she's family. He's not the energetic, get up and go, make you run through a wall. He doesn't have those qualities that a Kirby Smart has, that a Hugh Freeze has. And even though it may not work with some people, Nick Saban has, like, hey, you already know what I'm gonna do. It is a quiet confidence.
Nick Saban got that like old money sugar daddy swagger. It's like
he does, because he know he's got it.
Hey, baby girl, you already know what's happening over here. You know, like why we playing around? Like, oh, okay, you need something. You need something. You good?
I'm pulling 3 retirement checks, baby. Come on now.
Don't worry about it. Go get your nails done, baby. I got you. That's that Nick's dad. He got the daddy Nick swag. I can't front on Nick Saban. He got that swag, bro.
He does. He does have a sugar daddy swag.
But Jimbo has that. Jimbo has that new money. Like he got like Steve Jobs swag, right? Where it's like, I just made a bunch of money. I don't actually know what to do with this money, so I'm gonna walk around looking stupid with it, but I'm gonna spend it like crazy, and I'm gonna let you know I have it. But like, he's in the club buying bottles, trying to keep up with people. He's like, oh, wait a minute, what? They got a bottle in there. Say, I want a bottle. Let me get a bottle. Man, you know, dude, over there got 2 bottles. Let me get 2 bottles then. Let me get 2 bottles.
Yeah. He got
2 bottles. I want 3. Let me get 3 bottles. Because I gotta show everybody I got money.
Hey, Nick, Jimbo Fisher got scammer energy to me.
Yeah, he does.
Like he's gonna convince you of this idea.
He's like, hey man, so you saying these $3? It's $100. How about I get you if I get $250, can I still get the 3 bottles? But then maybe I'll buy a little one later, and then that'll make 4, right? But then what I'm saying, we'll level it out. Next time I get you back. The next time I come around to the club, I get you another bottle.
I get you back.
You know I'm good for it, right? You know I'm good for it, man. Just gonna slide me an extra little bottle. You know what I'm saying? And I tip you real good.
You know what? So he's that dude, but he actually came up on a bunch of money with the Texas A&M job.
Yeah.
So he can sell. He couldn't really sell, but it's like when you got that much behind you, it's like, oh, well, a couple people gonna listen. People will listen to that pitch. They'll listen to that tape. However, it doesn't take long for the paint to wear off. You're like, wait a minute. You just what you are.
Yeah.
You just standing in front of a big pile of money, but you're still the same overwhelmed, overrated coach. So Jimbo is not a great recruiter. And again, I've outlined Jimbo's history very well. At Florida State, it was the Bowden effect and his culture that he was able to step into and inherit, but that culture was already pre-built. It was already recruited. And that was Bobby Bowden's mystique, who did have the swagger, who did have the confidence, who did have the ability to connect with people. He built that roster. Jimbo utilized it and won them a championship. So what we see is those people that are personable, that are affable. Like when we talked about how Brian Harsin was not that and how much that hurt us, right?
This is why I'm so high on Coach Hugh Freeze as a recruiter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you polled the Auburn fan base and you asked them last season before Hugh Freeze got here, who were the top 2 recruiters for Auburn? Who would be your answer, B. Will? Top 2 recruiters for Auburn last year?
It had to be Caddy and Zach Etheridge.
Mm-hmm. Both on the staff with Brian Harsin.
Mm-hmm.
But the energy from recruits changed when you changed the head guy.
Right.
So I give tons of props to Caddy and Zach Etheridge for the work that they've put in. Mm-hmm. I am not taking anything away from them. But the recruiting energy changed when you changed who the head coach was. So that lets me know Hugh Freeze knows what he's doing when it comes to recruiting, because you get the different results. You can't sell me on, man. I mean, we had Zach and Caddy before. We would have finished around this. No, we wouldn't have. We would not have. We wouldn't have flipped the guys that we flipped. We wouldn't have brought in the portal guys that we did. Hugh Freeze helped galvanize he encapsulated the energy that they had, and he turned that into fuel, as opposed to just being like, well, we got this vat of energy. It's like, what you gonna do with it though? Right. Like, and so Hugh Freeze, I think, was a catalyst for a lot of that reaction that happened after that. So that's why
Right.
he gets a lot of props from me. Not because Zach and Caddy weren't amazing and still aren't amazing, right? Like they are,
Right.
and they were always going to be amazing. They were working, unfortunately, with one arm tied behind their back, though.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's a priority to the head coach, it trickles down. Just like, I mean, with jobs, CEOs, man, if they say, hey, I want revenue, I want revenue, I want revenue. And another CEO be like, listen, we need to stabilize our product. So we're going to have the best product no matter what. CEO A says, sell, sell, sell. It doesn't matter if this stuff is going to fall apart as soon as it gets
Right.
to them, sell it. CEO B, no, we need to have a product that's going to last 20 years in their hands. And every time they think of us, they think of the best possible product. Those are two vastly different approaches. Now, of course, you still have to sell the top tier product. And of course, the mediocre product that you want revenue from still has to work. But what are you emphasizing? And that emphasis comes from the top and it goes all the way down to the bottom. Hugh Freeze emphasizes recruiting in a way that Brian Harsin never did, in a way that Gus Malzahn could not, because I don't think he's the personality that Hugh Freeze is. So I'm big on Hugh Freeze recruiting. I think we've seen it already. We've heard recruits remark about what it's like to meet Hugh Freeze, and it's not what the remarks were when people met Brian Harsin. Right. Save for like, one or two guys who specifically had a good connection to Harsin, but you can tell that the energy is different, and we owe that to Freeze because he's the biggest change.
Yeah. I have to agree with all that. All right. So y'all know what time it is, man. We are here, Morning Drop, sponsored by the Rogue Shop. Head over to rogueshop.com using code RAPPORT, America's #1 online dispensary. You can go there and get anything for a product that ails you, right? Like to cure anything that ails you, whether it's pain, anxiety, stress. They have something that'll suit your needs there. We are getting dangerously close to Valentine's Day. Y'all know what that means. A lot of people want to set the mood. It's not that kind of candle, but it is something that you can put some aromas in the air that'll help you. Maybe you aren't in the mood to have a Valentine and you just want to have a stress-free February 14th. Rogue Shop still got you covered there. Use code RAPPORT to get 10% off your purchase. Make sure you guys are continuing to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We are going to get here into these comments, though. We got a lot of comments coming in. We appreciate you guys rocking with us this morning. We're going to get this started off here talking with Kyle Sweat, who says, good morning. We just had a great week for Auburn, 2 months on the job, and I'm feeling nothing but up. Love the direction of everything. Yep. Definitely happy that the fan base is feeling the energy as well. Lawrence Robinson jumps in and says, Pete Carroll got his players by cheating as well, and he's doing fine.
Nobody had, what? He got out the door just in time.
Yeah.
Got them championships and bolted. I feel it, Pete. I feel it.
Yeah. Kyle Sweat jumps back in and says, if people think Hugh was the only coach using under the table bags to build a winning team, they got to be a fool. I've said this many times. Like y'all gonna have to stop bringing that up to me about anybody.
Yeah, he's just the one. He just got caught.
Yeah,
he was sloppy enough to get caught. That is it. I know fans want to think so highly of certain their program or their coach.
Yeah. Oh, how dare you? It's like, man, come on, bro.
Please,
let's be. Like I said, I made fun of Tennessee. It was funny.
It was funny. It's funny because they were that sloppy,
right?
Yeah,
but doesn't mean that I don't realize that everybody was doing similar things, just in different ways. I know personally too many collegiate athletes for y'all to tell me any different. Right. I know too many of them from a lot of different schools. Mm-hmm. I personally know too many. Not stories I heard from somebody. I'm talking about people who I've spoken with myself. You can't tell me. I'm just not buying the idea that this program is so clean. I don't care who from your program gets on social media on an interview being like, nah, it wasn't never like, yes, it was. You just didn't get no under the table bag. But trust me, your program was doing it.
Yeah.
Calm down. Steve Bradley jumps in. Appreciate you jumping in here. He said, money talks.
It does.
He said, I mentioned money because that's what got Kirby and Saban to where they are today in recruiting. It helped them build to where they are today, in my opinion. There is no big, successful collegiate program that exists that was not built on the backs of millionaires funneling money into that program. It's just not a thing. That's why when we talk about building a recruiting program, it's a lot about how you fundraise. It's about how you can ingratiate yourself to people with money. And I think that that's a separate conversation, but from who's a better on the field coach. There's much better on the
Right.
field coaches than Kirby
Right.
Smart or Nick Saban. Like I
Right.
just like I that's I don't. If anybody debates that, then I don't know what you're using to debate whether or not they're a better on the field. I think Kirby Smart's one of the better defensive minds in
Right.
college football,
Right.
right? But I don't know that he's the best head coach ever as far as like making sure. But he does what he needs to do to build his program properly. He is a great program builder. Nick Saban, great program builder. I'm not debating that with anybody. Like it's the proof is there. They know how to get the players in the program. They know how to motivate them to play. They know how to develop competition so that you're weeding out the players that aren't the best of the best, and they're trotting out the best of the best every single season. Not debatable. Are they better coaches? That to me is debatable.
Right.
Because again, if you can figure out how to get guys who aren't the top players playing like the top players or scheming those guys up. That's why I think Dan Mullen, as much as he's not people hate his recruiting job, I think Dan Mullen's a fantastic offensive coach because he figures out how to get points and generate points with players that might not be the best.
Right. Right.
Kyle Trask ain't seen an NFL football field, but he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country that year he was under Dan Mullen.
Yeah, that's true.
Kyle Sweat jumps back in and says, I feel so fortunate that we didn't get the coach we wanted, but we for sure got the coach we needed. If the coach you wanted was Lane Kiffin, then yes, I do feel fortunate that we did not get him.
I'm very thankful.
Because Lane Kiffin is like that dude who has like no money, but he's going to the bank trying to sell them on the idea of why his business will succeed. And all he's got is a bunch of analytics. He's like, well, if you see here, the growth curve trajectory for quarterbacks in Q3 last year was potentially, higher than normal. And I've got a quarterback on my team who I think fits the mold of and he's just sitting across the table like, okay, you still ain't getting no money.
Right. But Lane has a little cachet working for him. It's how he's gotten to this point.
Yeah, listen, man, Lane's a good coach, man. I'm making fun of him. He's a good coach. I don't think he's an X and O's guy. He just doesn't know the value of defense. So, Chris Sanders, I think a building rapport with Coach Hugh Freeze will put the channel over 10K. I hope we get it without that, but if it definitely would. I mean, we're only about 80 something subscribers away, so hopefully it won't take a Hugh Freeze interview to get us 80 more, but we'll see. Damian Smith says Jimbo's big Ponzi scheme, mad off vibes.
Yeah. For real.
Eric Moss jumps in, says, Ike, can we get a copy of Walker White's list? Let's keep up with those recruits and see how many we land. This is a good idea. We go in and see how many. I've seen him already tweeting at people on Twitter about like, hey, you need to come to Auburn when they some guy made his like top 12 or top 10 or something like that announcement. Auburn was on it. He was like, yep, Auburn. So I'm like, hey, he's out here working. He's like, look, man, I want all the good players to come here with me. So I ain't mad at it. I don't have it on this brand, but it's okay. We're still going to do it because he put it in here. My guy Jazzy Joe jumps in with a Jazzy challenge, location challenge. Where am I for 100? Think outside the box. Outside the box.
So I'm trying to go off your hint here. Go outside the box. I would think outside of the continental U.S., but that's not possible in a truck. But you didn't say that you were in the truck.
You just said, where am I? Yeah.
France.
Oh man.
Oui.
Let's see here. I am going to say that Jazzy, he's always in Arizona, so I'm not gonna say Arizona again. I'm going to stay in the continental United States. Oh no, I could go to Canada. Jazzy's in Canada.
He's in the truck. Okay, so wait. I take mine back. He's in the truck. How I know that truck isn't just on a freighter in the middle of the Pacific. See, Jazzy, you ain't slick.
I'm sticking with Canada. I'm gonna say he's in Canada, man.
I'm gonna say Canada too.
No, you can't say Canada too, man. You Yeah, say something else. Say Mexico or something, bro.
All right, Mexico. Still landlocked, but not in the continental U.S.
We'll see which if that was right. If that outside the box threw us all the way off, then it's your fault, Jazzy. All right. Let's see if we got any more chats here while we wait to see if we got this right.
I saw a few people asking about, and they mentioned it, but this is just the last one. Derek Anderson asking how we feel about
we'll
still
talk
being
about
mentioned
that tomorrow. We'll talk.
Okay, we're gonna get to it later. All right, cool.
Boom.
Hey, Jazzy.
Yeah,
I know it's going. Is it still that whole Arctic blast happening up there right now?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I know that what he did post that picture of it being real cold in his truck. But see, that was like 2 days ago, so he could be anywhere by now. But okay, Canada.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Got it. All right, man. Well, we are about to get out of here. We will talk Kevin Steele tomorrow, man. A lot of people want to talk about that. I didn't know how much Auburn fans really wanted to have that conversation since it wasn't Auburn related, it was Bama related. But I see a lot of people in the chat talking about it. So tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about Kevin Steele being rumored to be the next defensive coordinator to Bama. So we'll get on that tomorrow. All right, we're going to get out of here today, though. We appreciate you guys dropping in with us. Once again, head over to rogueshop.com using code RAPPORT, 10% off your purchase. If you're not a member, join. Got more film coming for you guys. Today's Monday. I'm trying to have some Texas A&M versus Auburn basketball preview film for our patrons tomorrow. So we'll be talking a little bit about that game in the patron live stream tomorrow afternoon-ish. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership, you can do that right now. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the necessary stuff, share the content. We love you guys. We appreciate you dropping in with us this morning. We're out of here. Until next time, as always, War Eagle. Peace.
Peace.